Hello, welcome to the Story Studio podcast. Today we're going to be breaking down one of our favorites. I think it's certainly one of my favorites.
I think it's collectively our favorite. Yeah,
one of the favorites.
Not our favorite. This is not the one we would move into. But
it's not Upstream Color.
No,
no.
I think we all love it, and I think that we have all been affected by it, and I think that we can all acknowledge how much it has affected storytelling and the culture.
What about, I love it when I start a sentence on a wing and a prayer, and I'm like, it'll work out. It'll work out. I don't know what I'm going to say.
Bon Jovi, man.
Wing and a prayer.
Living on a prayer.
I am. Oh, that's right. Okay. It's the 80s again.
We're halfway there.
So before we begin, I did want to mention that Endless Ideas is out. Sean, just give the pitch for Endless Ideas. What's in Endless Ideas about? Our book.
Well, I do think that the pitch is in the title, fortunately, so that makes my job easy. But
it isn't. It isn't. Like, let's have a bunch of ideas. Well, I don't need ideas. Hold on. Let me describe it.
All right, yeah,
yes, fair. I'm sold.
That's fair. It's more about the generation and refinement of ideas, and Neve did all the heavy lifting on that.
As it relates to writing, and it will help you with writer's block.
Well, as it relates to creativity in general.
Is there a chapter on sitting in the bathtub?
The bathtub does get a mention, yes. It does get a mention. Because it's one thing to have endless ideas, but it is another to refine them, and everything is covered from like basic idea generation to titling to kind of like where you put them, how you develop the habits. And I think more than anything, that's it. It's about the habit building and the internal respect you develop for your ideas, because that's something that I think is fairly new for me, maybe the last couple of years. I've always had a lot of ideas. I didn't realize that was an unusual thing until several years ago, and I didn't really start to respect it until a couple of years ago. And now that we're paring everything down, my ideas all get to be centered around stories in the studio, and I think that's better for everybody. But we do dig into that, and Neve does a great job of talking about the practical applications for generating ideas and just making it a part of your daily creative existence.
Okay, but throw me a bone. It'll help you with writer's block too, right? That's what I'm trying to get you to say.
Yes.
It's maybe the subject of the email I sent.
You will never, ever have writer's block again. You will never have writer's block.
Ideas for your book, because you have a lot of ideas for like business and life and solving weird problems, and a lot of people don't need that skill as much, but we do need it on the page. We do need it for books. We do need it for getting out of corners.
So it's like a laxative for your brain?
A little bit.
You should have put that on the cover.
That's the tagline.
That is the tagline.
That's a better cover too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think that it's problem solving is the thing that writers need to be better at, and they don't even realize it. Because if you're a problem solver in real life, then you're going to be a great storyteller, because that's what storytelling is. It's solving problems. It's coming up with new ideas and resolutions for every character and thinking, well, if that doesn't work, where do I go here? So just the idea of getting better at ideas themselves, I think will kind of lubricate your creative process.
Lubricate. All right. So that's it. sterlingandstone.net/endless-ideas. We did put a dash in there, sterlingandstone.net/endless-ideas to get endless ideas. And with that said, so The Matrix, you guys seen it? Was it cool? Hear about that new movie called The Matrix?
I saw
What
it.
is The Matrix?
I saw it on Saturday night, not opening night. And I didn't know what it was going to be. I did see the trailers.
Nobody did.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool. And he was like, whoa. But it was almost like, and I didn't think it was going to be awesome. I thought it was going to be like Keanu-tastic, and that's all I needed. Like, okay.
Which at the time, I personally wasn't that interested in. Like, he was actually a detractor for me rather than an attraction.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be Bill and Ted.
Exactly, like he was Ted.
No, I knew it was like Sci-Fi Speed or Johnny Mnemonic. Like they were trying to make him a
all right. So it was, but I don't have a ton of respect for those either, right? Like Johnny Mnemonic was
Johnny Mnemonic was terrible, but it had good ideas, and you could tell.
And Speed was a blockbuster, but it was stupid. Like, let's be clear, that really fucking stupid.
It was, but Keanu owned it, like he did.
Did you see the Mythbusters where they tried to do some of the things from Speed, like take the turn at a certain speed and jump over something? They jumped a bus over.
That's amazing.
It killed like 9 people in the episode.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, it wasn't even close.
But I did want to see it, and I didn't go at the time. So this is '99. We went and saw a movie every weekend, and we held off on seeing that one because there were a group of us that were going. And so I asked somebody I was working with on Saturday morning, so did you went to the movies yesterday? Did you see The Matrix? And she said, yeah, I saw it. And I said, did you like it? And she says, I don't know. I don't even know what to think about it. And that really got me hyped. Like now I really wanted to see it. And then I saw it, and I did not know what to expect. But it was. That
was one where going in blind really paid off.
Yes, every moment of that movie was rad, and then it ended.
By the way, we're going to spoil The Matrix if you're the guy who hasn't seen it yet.
And
I brought my blind uncle, and he did not enjoy it at all.
I did go back. I saw that. That's the movie I've seen more than any other movie in the theater. I saw it 7 times, and it was playing at the Dollar Theater when they still had a Dollar Theater in Rossmore, a few minutes from Long Beach, and we would just go after work, a bunch of us, several times. So yeah, Matrix was I don't know, it did everything right, and it did it several years ahead of time.
The Dollar Theater was kind of interesting because the bullet time had a completely different meaning at that theater.
Wow, that was great. Good job.
So I'm a little unsure how we want to begin attacking the story. Like, why the hell are we talking about The Matrix?
Well, okay, I think a good place to start is, why did it hit so big? Because the movie would not hit that big today. Like, it wouldn't. It was one of those right place, right time, right story, right technology. So why do you think that or do you think I'm wrong and it would hit if we'd never see The Matrix and it came out today?
I think the reason that it wouldn't hit today is because The Matrix and its lookalikes already happened. In a world where there was no Matrix because it hasn't happened yet, maybe.
The Matrix.
Right. But anything The Matrix inspired, I could see it still working.
Yeah, yes, but I would make a different argument that it's not the tech or the storytelling that it inspired. It's the fact that we're kind of living in the Matrix in a way that we weren't in 1999. No, like hear me out.
That makes it even more relevant.
No, hear me out. So we're all like, okay, so
we have an orange Cheeto for president. Is that what you're saying?
If you replace the Matrix with Facebook, it's basically a documentary.
If you look at like that badass phone that looked really, really awesome in '99, but it's just whatever now. But it's like and like it flips down, right?
Yeah, but those are affects.
Wait. No. Okay. My point is, no one saw smartphones coming. Smartphones are not a part of this world. Smartphones kind of keep us in the Matrix. Like the argument that the Wachowskis are making in the Matrix about us, like 99 being kind of the peak of cultural, that's where we were. That was our zenith. And then it went downhill from there. We got really
That's pretty much right.
We got stupider and stupider. Right.
No, it's very right.
What I'm saying is that
we got in the Matrix and it's just a big old stupid factory.
I feel like some of the messages that movie had were ahead of its time and would have a harder time landing right now.
Oh, I don't know about that at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I mean, especially, given people's current state of paranoia and conspiracy and the whole red pill, blue pill thing.
So you think it could land even harder?
Yeah, I think all of that is ripe. I mean, they might have to change a story a little bit. I don't know, but I think people are more suspicious and paranoid of the government and one another than ever before. And that movie really hits home on all of those things.
Yeah, I'm ready to just move into the Matrix personally. Can I just do that? Can I do that whole thing?
I want to plug in and
make me someone important, like an actor.
I want to live in one of those little tubes.
Yeah, Dave wants to just basically what Cypher, Joey Pance's character, what he does. I want to do.
Yeah, he was a hero in my.
Right, like I want to do what he did. I want to just plug it in the Matrix and forget all of the shit that's going on.
Neo was an idiot. It was all about Cypher.
Dave wants to do that without the Matrix part. Like just put him in the goo, plug the thing in the back of his head, and he'll just hang out in the tube.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? You live forever. Come on.
In all seriousness, Dave, would you take the red pill or the blue pill? I mean, in all seriousness, would you want your steak and just? Well, I know you don't eat steak, but. I don't know.
He does if Olive Garden tricks him into
right.
it.
Would you want your chicken McNuggets or?
I'm already taking the other pill. I feel
because
I don't know.
I think you're somebody who like I don't know. It's like it's hard to turn off your misery.
Something just happened that I can't announce live, but that I will Slack you, and I think you will find amusing. So, but yes, continuing with the Matrix. I just derailed the entire thing.
Yeah.
Well, now
he was talking about red pill, blue pill. Okay, so
say that.
All right, no. Well, oh yeah, well, I all right. Well, you were going to look anyway. Like I can't Slack you on your. Okay, so I think that one of the reasons that the Matrix really works for this discussion is because the story structure is cookie cutter. Like I mean, it really is. The Matrix does not deviate at all from like classic hero's journey story structure. So like the inciting incident is, and I can go through these because I've actually just did this recently for something else. And I think that that's why it's so interesting is that you can really track it as like an example of like a perfect representation of the classic hero's journey. And it just makes it more digestible. It's also kind of an example of how you can take the same framework and make very different stories out of it because you wouldn't know that this is the same structure as a lot of the other hero's journey sorts of stories, if that makes any sense.
How did it hit you when you left for both of you? Were you more wowed by the technology? Because there was never a movie that looked like The Matrix before The Matrix. So were you more wowed by the technology or were you more like bowled over by the story?
Both. When I saw it in the theater, I saw it the very first screening. Like I stayed up. I was working midnight shift. I stayed up, went to it. And,
oh wow!
Yeah.
So you liked Matrix before it was cool.
Oh yeah, I was there the first day and the second day. I saw it probably like 4 or 5 times in the theater. I really love the beginning of the story a lot. Like the whole part where he's in the normal world and then he gets taken into the office and he's interrogated. I loved all of this setup. The more it got away from that, the less intrigued I was. Maybe because there was more mystery in that beginning part. But yeah, I absolutely loved the story, and I loved the story more before we knew all of it. Like with the sequels and stuff, I was like, I don't know. I don't remember loving them. I saw them all in the theater, and I don't really remember much of them. So that shows you what I felt.
See, I love the sequels. I know that this is hotly debated, and some people really, really, really hate on the sequels. But I think
they're going to come out with another movie,
which I'm also excited about. Like I think that's really cool.
I might rewatch the sequel, with my expectations adjusted. I don't know, and see how.
The thing about the sequels is, I was a big sequels apologist. I actually like them. I do like them. I still like them, but I do think that they fall really short of the original, and they're indulgent, and they're more about. They're the kind of stuff that I think Johnny and I do at our worst, not at our best. Like the project we're doing now, I think is, okay, so the first version we had of the project we're doing now, I think is a little more like what Wachowski's did with Reloaded and...
I don't agree with that at all.
Revolution.
No, the one that the project, I mean, we can't go into this because number one, it's the draft that Sean's talking about is a dead draft. So you guys are never going to see it. Number two, the project itself, we can't really talk about because it's not done and there are various reasons. But that story kind of went nowhere. It was kind of like, let's follow this person and watch what they do. And nothing really matters. And they just kind of do things. I really liked the sequels because number one, I felt like they immediately got a bum rap because the first was because it was so classic, it was so digestible because it was so classic. I mean, it hits the beats perfectly. And it's the discovery story. It's the awakening story. So once he's awake, you're never going to get that cool thing again. You're never going to learn Kung Fu again.
Agreed. And I think that there's a lot to like about the sequels, but I like them. The Matrix, every time I see it, I'm still like, yep. But every time I see the sequels, and like it's not equal. I'll watch the Matrix and then I'll watch the sequel like maybe one every 3 times. Like when I was showing it to the children again, right? But every time I see the sequels, I like them less, not more. So
see, I'm the opposite. I feel
diminishing returns there.
Well, the sequels are demanding. Like indulgent is one way to put it, but I think demanding is another. Like they're not psychologically, like philosophically hard. Trying to figure out what the hell happens at the end of Revolutions is really complicated. But I actually really like that. I like a story that I can keep delving into, and I like what they tried to do. That stuff with the architect, I love that. I love that.
I love it too. Okay, so here's how I feel about Reloaded. Reloaded to me is the most interesting of the 3. Revolutions is where, okay, so if Revolutions was better than it is, in my opinion, it would validate Reloaded. Reloaded would become a better film. But because Revolutions doesn't do enough to hold up its weight, Reloaded makes a promise that Revolutions doesn't keep. And it's like the middle child. And Reloaded to me feels like a bunch of really great scenes and set pieces that are not unified by a story. Like I can't tell you what the story of Reloaded is. Like I would have to think about it.
That's interesting. I feel like it's the middle part of the trilogy rather than its own story.
Right. But it should.
But I'm okay with that, personally.
It should be its own thing. That's all. Like it's not. I don't dislike the sequels at all. I just know that they are 80% max of what they could be. Like they could have been something better. The Wachowskis had no one to edit them. They probably ignored all show notes or whatever.
Well, having seen what they've done since, it's clear that somebody was holding them down on the philosophical front and being like, maybe do a little bit less of this, maybe quote, dumb it down a little bit. And I think that once they were the Wachowskis.
Yeah, they had a blank check,
right? Let's do, Sense8, which what the fuck happened there?
Yeah. So their blank check wasn't just for, for budget and how big it could be. Their blank check was for creativity too. Like, okay, get as, Psych 101 or Philosophy 101 as you want. And there's just a little bit too much masturbation in the sequels, I feel. Just a tighter story where like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And they could have just been so much better. Like they wouldn't have had to change that much.
Maybe they just tick all my boxes because they
totally do.
The idea of Smith and Neo as opposite halves of an equation is just so sexy to me. Like that's the coolest.
Well, you're being more fair than I am because my problem with the sequels is that I'm judging them by what they are not instead of what they are. And that's not fair. Like it's not. And if people did that too, people do that to us all the time. And it's always like, fuck you, assholes. So like, I'm totally in the wrong here. I can't really help how I feel. Like I know that if I had made those sequels, I would want people to see them for what they are instead of what they aren't. But as a consumer, I do see them for what they aren't. And I missed something there.
Have you guys looked at gone back and kind of analyzed the structure of the story? Because I keep coming back to that and I don't want to beat it to death, but I'm just amazed once I looked at it, how incredibly classic and defined the story structure is.
We recently, for the project we're working on, there's a lot of Matrix in that project. And so I think Matrix might be something we've deconstructed, or at least me, more than any other story.
Mm-hmm.
It is very, very straightforward. And it holds up. And it doesn't feel 20 years old either. It still feels great. It still looks great.
Did you all watch the cartoons as well or no?
I did. Yeah. That's part of it too. Like I was really into what they were trying to do with the transmedia thing. So I bought Animatrix. I also played the game, which was really crappy. But I played.
Was it as crappy as E.T.?
It was better than E.T., but it was definitely rushed for sure. The bullet time sucked on it. But they were trying to get it out before the film because they were cutscenes that told different parts of the film. It was ambitious and awesome in theory.
But it fell into the same trap that just about any transmedia thing runs into, is if it requires you to get all the parts.
Yeah.
Like when they walk in and they're talking to a kid and you're like, okay, I feel like I missed something. Was I out of the room when this happened with that guy?
Yeah. And I like that they were that ambitious. But I don't know. I felt like that there was, it's that weird area between there was too much story and then not enough story because there was too much. You know, they just had all this world building stuff out there and not enough. This happened, then this happened, then this happened. Because yes, the architect, that's an amazing scene, but it's also too long, not to the point. Like
so people are stupid.
Well, a little bit. I mean, I guess it's just, it doesn't hold on its own. It's not its own movie is the problem. Like
that's true, but I'm looking at them as a trilogy,
which
as
is
of one
fair
story
too. Yeah.
Well, so what about the? I mean, I guess I keep going back to this. Does anyone want to break it down? Does anyone want to pull out the elements? No.
I suck at that.
Well,
I don't know if anybody cares, but it has, you know, obviously a tremendous sort of normal world. And, you know, we know where the inciting incident and the act climaxes are, but I don't know if that's just a little too granular or boring for anybody.
Well,
my dog just opened the door, so I'm going to go close it.
Yeah, I think it might be just tired. I think it's more interesting to talk about like the cultural impact that it had, where you started seeing the same type of story show up, because it did. Like The Matrix hit the zeitgeist in ways that few other stories have. So when a story hits that big, it changes filmmaking. So Dave's favorite movie, I think, at least one of his top 5, is The Fountain. And The Fountain was a response to The Matrix. It was Darren Aronofsky saying, okay, in a post-Matrix world, what does sci-fi look like now? How do I say something really different?
He did not adequately project what sci-fi looks like now. Would you agree with that, Dave? I don't know that The Fountain is what sci-fi looks like now.
No, but it wasn't about like outdoing technology or even setting a new standard. It was, do you know the story about why James Cameron got started on Avatar? Have I told this one? Okay, so I really like this story. So James Cameron, his movie, like he didn't make anything between Titanic and Avatar. And he wanted to. He had 2 projects that were kind of like front burner. One was Battle Angel, which eventually Robert Rodriguez made, came out last year, early this year. And the other one was Avatar. But the technology didn't really exist for either film. Like they just needed more, technical power than they had at the time. And so Cameron wasn't in a hurry. He went and he made his documentaries, and he invented some cameras for his underwater documentaries, which eventually were used in Avatar. But he was just like, I'll know when it's time. Like I need to be inspired. I need to know the technology is there. So Return of the King comes out, and he's sitting in the theater, and he's watching the movie, and it's that scene where Legolas slides down the elephant's trunk, and he's like shooting arrows while he's like surfing on the trunk, and he falls down, and it's just a beautifully shot scene with action, and it really looks like this is all happening, although it's all bullshit green screen, like nothing's actually there. And so James Cameron he's in the theater watching this, and he just starts laughing out loud, and he goes, well, looks like it's time to play. And he started on Avatar the next day because he saw something that he's like, oh, I need to do something better than that. Like now I'm inspired to make something better. And that was the way I read that Aronofsky story. Wasn't that he was trying to, like, it inspired him. He's like, wow, there's a sci-fi movie that made me think. Because Aronofsky isn't a sci-fi director. I mean, before that he made Pi and Requiem. And I don't know if
you don't think Pi sci-fi?
It's not sci-fi.
It's like maybe high intellectual sci-fi, maybe.
Yeah, it's like there's sci-fi elements to it, but Is it
People would stand up in a Florida theater and say, well, that's not what I expected. And then they'd shoot you.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that, the Fountain is very much sci-fi. So it's like he saw, because that's what I got from The Matrix that really, really stuck with me. It wasn't that it was technology that wowed us visually, or that it was like so much story there and philosophy and stuff we just didn't normally see in an action movie. It was that it was all together, and Aronofsky saw that, and like, unfortunately, we don't know what The Fountain looked like, because he got there was a big strike and Brad Pitt pulled out of the project. Originally, it wasn't Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz. It was Brad Pitt and Cate Blanchett. And the original...
I far prefer the cast of the movie that was made.
Yes, but the other version had $150 million attached to it instead of 30.
I think this version was beautiful. I think it was perfect as it was.
Don't fuck with The Fountain, Sean.
I'm not fucking with The Fountain. I'm explaining that The Matrix helped to change science fiction.
The Matrix proved that you can make smart, accessible sci-fi that wasn't, just a whimsical popcorn movie that had no any bite. I guess.
Yeah, The Matrix is interesting to me on a couple of fronts. One is that they managed to take something so classic it might as well be, ensconced in the hall of classic conventions or whatever, and they made something totally new out of it. That's what's interesting to me. They didn't, so like, this isn't an apples to apples comparison remotely, but like Memento is a very non-classical structure, and so if they did something that nobody'd ever seen, if Nolan did, then whatever, that's very cool, but it's not the same. Like The Matrix, he took something old and made something the world hadn't seen. But the other is just from a filmmaking perspective, and this is Sean and I have talked a little bit about this with when we're trying, because we've had things with like unreliable narrators or false realities or something like that, multiple timelines, and filmmakers have a set of tricks that we don't have, and The Matrix uses them so very well and interestingly. Specifically, like the real world is green and The Matrix is a regular color. And so just that signifier of where you are and what like green is this kind of a sickly color. And so the fact that the real world is maybe a little more polished, like it's more wealthy, I guess, that sort of thing, but that it also feels sick, is just a bag of tricks that we as writers don't have. I know that there was a project Sean and I were working on, and we considered a totem, like in Inception, where, we said, well, he could have a wedding ring that could be his token. And in the real scenes, he's wearing it, and the other ones he's not, or something like that. But the problem is in writing, you have to keep saying, then he messed with his wedding ring or something. And you're like, wait a minute, why is he mentioning the wedding ring again?
The moment you shine a lantern on something, it's like, well, it's like you give your tricks away, and that's the last thing you want to do. Because that's when Dave unplugs. He's like, oh, mystery solved. I'm out of this story. I don't care anymore.
I want to know how surprised Dave was. Since you're the mystery guy, since losing the mystery ruins it for you, how surprised were you with the twist in The Matrix, the Act 1 twist where he comes into the real world?
I wasn't surprised by that.
How were you not surprised by that?
I don't know.
And you knew Bruce Willis was a ghost, didn't you?
I mean, you probably because you do that every morning, right? You're like, get out of your tube.
Well, the world felt wrong, kind of in a way that Dark City felt off to me.
Mm-hmm.
Had you already seen Dark City?
Yeah.
Because it came out, like 6 months earlier? Something like that?
So Dark City was before The Matrix?
Yeah, came out. Yeah, Dark City came out in 97 or 98.
I saw that opening day as well.
Yeah. And then Matrix came out in 99. And then I think also in 99, but later, like a few months afterwards, was that... oh shit, I can't even remember.
Equilibrium?
No, that was a year after, which was definitely like B-movie Matrix. No, we were just talking about this movie the other
13th
day.
Floor?
Yes, the 13th Floor. That's it.
I don't remember why I wasn't surprised. Like, I don't know if I had it all figured out, but I wasn't surprised that he wasn't in the real world. I kind of suspected that, and I don't remember why.
Because you're so smart.
No, that's not why.
It might be. Are you sure it's not? I think. I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
I don't know. I'm always thinking about what would explain whatever I'm watching, and what would I want to do. What would I do with the story? And
You know what I do think would be a good episode is talking about times when we genuinely were like taken by surprise by a movie. Something where I
was really surprised at the 3/4 mark of AI that it wasn't fucking over. This movie is still going. I'm so surprised. What a great twist.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I loved it up until the end, and then they added an extra hour.
Yeah, I actually like the fourth act of that movie. And unlike, I actually like it more each time I see it.
I should probably watch it again. I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I think you might like it more.
Any movie that has a teddy bear that talks?
Yeah, that one.
Sign me up.
I also love that movie because, and especially the fourth act. It's my son cried when he saw that movie, and he cried at that end part, and it really taps. Yeah, it taps into something really. I don't know. Like my son has this thing, Johnny, that you can relate to, like the passing of time and nostalgia. Like he's really, really, definitely is a thing for him, and that last scene explores that so much. And Ethan's just not super affected by movies. He doesn't have that. And he was really affected by this one. So I gotta for it.
I'm just chuckling over here because I keep seeing Kat's comments pop up in the chat, and everything so far has been like, I love that movie. I love that movie. I love that movie. You got to AI, not a fan of AI.
AI is awesome. And that scene by the pool where Haley Joel Osment just freaks out is just awesome.
Does he have the little mustache yet?
No, he does not yet.
Now you got me wondering what movie surprised me, and I'm trying to think of one. I know it's happened, but it's so
Dave
rare.
has never been surprised by a movie.
It's very rare, and it disappoints me. So
weren't you surprised when you went to see Captain Underpants and there were a bunch of loud people behind you?
Yeah. What about, okay, I know a time that you were surprised.
Weren't you surprised when we all saw a movie together and Sean tried to sit next to you? And share popcorn? That had to be surprising.
The Crying Game, I was surprised.
Weren't you surprised with that hour-long pissing scene in Angry Birds?
If I surprised
he was laughing
you,
too
delighted.
All right. Well, The Matrix is one of those things we could go on and on. I know I could get into the sequels more and the movies that followed it and how it changed. I mean, it's not a single episode movie, but why don't we wrap it up here? If you guys really dug this, shoot us an email. help@sterlingandstone.net, I suppose, is the best address, and just give us ideas. We always like podcast ideas. This is a good thing.
Yeah, and if you want us to watch something and talk about it, we absolutely will.
And do it, especially with something Dave will hate.
Yes, that's always bonus points.
Make Dave hate watch things.
You know what? You know what would actually be kind of fun? We should. Now you're going to both hate this idea, but I'm actually kind of serious. We should watch Birdemic again. And then think about,
I don't hate that.
But then think about, like, how would we make it if it was a serious movie? Like, if we got...
No.
If all of a sudden...
Just stop.
Our ship came in, Johnny, and we got $100 million.
Yeah, I got it. No, I got it. I thought about this. I've written a script. To just keep the budget down.
Maybe we should start a new podcast about it.
We shoot it in black and white. And I just rather cut it to the chase and just call it The Birds.
Yeah.
I got the whole thing mapped out. You just wait. I created a demo reel for you.
Kat says she's never heard of that movie. Kat, you need to do yourself a favor. Actually, you don't have to watch the whole movie.
Birdemic?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, well, if you haven't heard of Birdemic, where have you been living?
You call yourself a fan of great art?
Yeah, you can just Google.
Just go on YouTube and look for Birdemic clips.
And it will tell you all you need. You don't actually
just watch the first 5 minutes. That's all you really need.
You won't even get past the driving if you watch the first 5 minutes.
The first 15 minutes.
Exactly.
That's how long it takes him to gas up.
Exactly.
Oh, it's fantastic. I want to watch that again.
What we should watch, and I've already watched it because I don't fucking wait and get spoiled, El Camino.
Oh, is that out already?
Oh, yeah. Last night, midnight.
Oh.
I watched an El Camino once.
I know what we're watching tonight. Yeah, we're watching that tonight for sure. Is it good, Dave? How could you not something cool that shit?
Well, we didn't do something cool. I was waiting. The one time I have something.
We'll do it for the next show. Let's close this down and we'll do it on the next one. So
stay tuned next week.
So
yes,
cliffhanger for you guys, for you non-live people. Well, if you're dead, I guess you don't care. But so just a reminder that if you that Endless Ideas is out now. That's sterlingandstone.net/endless-ideas, and check that out. Otherwise, we will see you guys next week, where Dave will reveal the answer to his cliffhanger.
Dun, dun, dun.
So thanks everybody for listening. We will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.